time to apply for German citizenship! Oh my god! I hope this letter doesn't get lost. The day has come where us immigrants can possibly apply for dual citizenship. I can't tell you how excited I am because with my Canadian passport, I couldn't even fathom really giving it up ever. You know, this is my nationality, and as badly as I wanted to be German, as much as I know I'm gonna spend the rest of my life here, giving up everything I had back in Canada was terrifying for me. Until June 27th, 2024, which was the first official date that Germany launched their new dual citizenship rule. So looking back on recent years, when I looked into it, Canada would allow dual citizenship, but Germany wouldn't, which meant I did not have the opportunity to have German citizenship. Now that Germany also allows it, I am officially able to apply for my doppelte Staatsbürgerschaft, which is dual citizenship in German. So in this video, I'm actually going to take you through the entire process. So this envelope right here is actually all of my application documents that I need to go ship out. I just wanted to wait before shipping it so I could actually show you what is exactly inside, because there is still not that much information online, especially for example in Düsseldorf where I'm currently living. So we're gonna go through what you need, if you can apply, and exactly what documents you need to have in this envelope or possibly in a PDF for an email to make sure that you can get your dual citizenship as quickly as possible. So before we jump into my dual citizenship process and take you with me to the immigration offices, let's talk about first who can exactly get dual citizenship. Because if you can't, you might not need to keep watching this video. So, as I mentioned, Canada allows me to have dual citizenship, which means if your country of origin actually allows you to have dual citizenship, then we have a green light. Now you will actually need to have lived in Germany for a minimum of 5 years. There are certain situations where you can be here for a minimum of 3 years. You'll also need to have a permanent residency card. If you have a temporary residency card, that is also okay, but there is going to be a little bit more paperwork because the officials are going to also have to prove, and you are going to have to help prove, that your intended stay was actually a intentional long-term stay, if that makes sense. This we can't go into detail about either because with the immigration offices in Germany, especially in the bigger cities, everything is on a case-by-case basis. It's just the way it is. Wir sind in Deutschland, Bürokratie. Wir kennen das alle, oder? And what else? Well, you're going to have to prove your financial stability here in Germany, and you're going to need to have to take a B1 certification, as well as an immigration test or naturalization test, they might call it, or the Leben in Deutschland test. This is something that confused me because I actually had done the Leben in Deutschland test years ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, now I have to do this naturalization test and restudy for it, but they look very, very similar. So when I contacted the offices, they did say it's actually the same thing. It's just titled two different things. Both will work for your application. Now, next up, let's talk about how to apply, because you're probably looking at my envelope being like, really? You printed out all your documents? How old school, Jenna? Some of the cities are actually very forward thinking and very quick. Some of them even have these online application forms where you just go through, hit next, submit all your documents, and you're done. In Düsseldorf right now, they're working on that, but unfortunately at the moment, it needs to be done either via email or per post, and I've just decided to go the post route. I wanted to get this done as quickly as possible so that we could go to the immigration office together, film this together, and hopefully still be able to publish this video and still be able to help many of you who haven't applied for dual citizenship yet. So in Düsseldorf, we have the option of sending it via post or sending it via email. It doesn't matter where you live in Germany, it is going to cost you the same fee to get your dual citizenship. It costs an adult 255 euros to apply. For minors who are under the age of 18 and not applying with parents, it's also going to cost 255 euros. If you're a minor applying with your parents, then you get the benefit of saving quite a bit of money. The fee will then be 51 euros for the children and 255 euros for the adults. So before I go and mail this package off with all of our application information, I want to go through the things that I've included in here, and this is actually my first time submitting these documents, so fingers crossed that I've done it correctly and accurately. You'll know by the end of this video. But the things that I've included in this envelope are definitely mandatory. For privacy purposes, I am not going to zoom in on any of these documents for you, but our application for Düsseldorf is 12 pages long. It was relatively easy to fill out. I didn't need as much information as I thought I was gonna need, for example, from my parents back in Canada. Sometimes in the past, I've been asked for their birth certificates. I think that might have been when I was getting married. Yeah, they wanna know information about your children, how you're gonna prove your identity, the names and where your parents currently reside, if there's anybody else applying for you, proving your language ability, just saying yes, you have the proof to show that you have your B1 certificate, your Leben Deutschland test or Einbürgerungstest or Naturalisation test, and that you've done the integrations course. And then just ask you a little bit about work, where your income is currently coming from. The rest of it is really just information, your signatures. Some of them are just Information zur Abgabe der Loyalitätserklärung. So you're not actually filling anything out there. You're just reading and you're signing. Papierkram. Papierkram. Man weiß, dass man in Deutschland wohnt, wenn man so viel Papierkram hat. The next page, which I won't show you, I've included a copy of my passport and a copy of my Aufenthaltstitel or my Niederlassungserlaubnis. That you should definitely do too. I went one step further and just included my Gesundheitskarte or my health insurance card just to prove that I have public health insurance. Next up, I have the proof for my Sprachkenntnisse. Here was my B1 certificate, the Deutschtest für Zuwanderer. My Leben in Deutschland test certificate, my Integrationskurs certificate. These are all copies because I assume when you're sending it via email, you would also be sending copies and not their original form. So we will see how that goes too. They also talk about your pension. They want to know if you have a private and or a public pension insurance here in Germany. I said, yes, I have a private pension. We've talked about that before. You've met my financial advisor and we've gone through some awesome, very important questions that you should know. Anyway, I have my insurance with the Continentale and Swiss Life, different types of pension here in Germany that will keep me secure. So these ones are just proof of private pension. You can get that super easy with your pension company, whether public or private. Just request it and they'll send it in the mail. Next up is my birth certificate, my long form birth certificate that has been officially translated by a German sworn translator. Please make sure to do so. I actually got this done in person back when there was no resources online that could do this officially for you. Nowadays, we have some amazing resources. I will leave that link down below. You can check that out too. Then I have our marriage certificate, which they request. Any personal identification that you possibly have, send it in your application. I have been talking with the immigration office. I have been talking with many different immigration lawyers, and this is one of the things that they mention. If you're wondering if you should include it, just include it. There's no harm in going overboard on the proof of documentation and proof of identity. So with that being said, I also have the birth certificates of my 2 children. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. If you are employed, you have it relatively easy. You just have to submit your employment contract and you have to submit the last 3 pay stubs that you have. But if you're self-employed, they can request your business registration, any business evaluations, and income tax assessments from the last 3 years. So I am self-employed as a freelancer, so I have a letter from my accountant who has written that I have been a freelancer for the last years and that she is the one dealing with my accounting and that she can confirm that I am indeed who I say I am. And then I have here, these are my Steuerbescheid, my tax assessments from the last 3 years. So let's see how that goes. Let's hope it works, but this is where we're gonna start. This is the stuff that we need to submit. They could come back and request more information from me. This is not unheard of. And again, as I mentioned, case by case basis here. Don't be surprised if they come back and say, this is not substantial enough for us. We need something more. So it is time to pack up all of our information. This can't be good for me. Seal the envelope and take it to the post office. All right. And it's time to apply for German citizenship. Oh my God. I hope this letter doesn't get lost. Bye-bye. What happens next? I've submitted my application. This is something I have also asked the immigration office, and apparently what will happen is you're gonna need to wait. Hopefully you will get a confirmation receipt from your immigration office that you applied to. Keep an eye on the emails coming through. Hopefully you will get some information soon. So just a little update for you. I actually submitted that application on July 4th. 2024. I then waited a couple weeks. It wasn't until July 18th, 2024 when I received this letter. The good thing is we've now received confirmation, so we know, okay, the process has been started and we are on a good track to getting our dual citizenship. However, within this letter, you might also recognize that they did request a couple more things from me. That was expected. So basically, they have confirmed that I have submitted this application. If I hadn't have submitted it by post and I had have sent it in via email, I would have also in Düsseldorf received an automated email that the email has been received. But in this case, because I sent it via post, I did not receive an immediate confirmation. If this is something you want to look into, then I would recommend when you send that letter, actually going to the post office and buying something called an Einschreiben mit Rückschein. In English, this is basically how the German Postal Service is able to provide you proof of delivery. You can actually say, I want them to be able to have to sign to confirm that they have got the documents. However, the immigration office has also given me word that you can actually just come into the office and drop it off there so you know it's in the right hands. So now at this point, I have been requested to provide eine Bescheinigung Ihres Steuerberaters über Ihr Durchschnittseinkommen pro Monat aus Ihrer selbstständigen Tätigkeit des Jahres 2023 und des ersten Halbjahres 2024. So the reason why we ran into this issue is because I am indeed self-employed, as we have discussed, and when they asked me for the last 3 years of my Steuerbescheid or my tax income statements, well, I didn't have the last 3 years because we were actually still getting all of the documents from 2022 and 2023 ready, so there was no way that we were going to have those finished for the application process. That means what they want from me now is to contact my accountant and have her actually put together some sort of proof that states how much income I have made last year and the first half of 2024. So naturally, I jumped on it, contacted her right away. I believe it was only a few days until I had sent them this proof of income over the last year and a half. Now, fast forward on August 21st, my caseworker then came back and asked, bitte lassen Sie mir für die abschließenden Prüfungen Ihres Einbürgerungsantrags noch den Arbeitsvertrag von Ihrem Ehemann und die letzten 3 Gehaltsabrechnungen zukommen. And whether it was on the list or not, there's not much you can do about it. You need to send over any documents they request. So I reached out to my husband, I had him go to his boss, I had him get the employment contract, which is what they were requesting, and additionally, the last 3 payslips that he had received from work. So this took about a week, and on August 28th, I then sent over all the remaining requested documents and crossed my fingers, hoping that they wouldn't come back for more. At this point, it will take a few weeks for them to go through all of your applications, double check with any other authorities that everything looks okay, and if all requirements are met, then they can move forward and start preparing the printing of your naturalization certificate, in which they will likely invite you back to the immigration offices for an appointment. All of this paperwork you could have already done online in a major city, but in smaller cities, you might actually be bringing this paperwork in person and sitting down for multiple meetings. It really depends. In the case of Düsseldorf, for example, my first visit will actually be my visit to accept my naturalization certificate. And a couple months later, I finally received my invitation. This invitation was sent out on October 18th. The meeting was set for October 25th. In your case, it might be right away. It might also be months from now. It really all depends on the process and how it's taking. I only needed to wait the 2 months because I was one of the first to apply. Actually, I would have been the second Canadian to get dual citizenship here in Düsseldorf after this new law has been put in place. If the appointment that they suggest does not work for you, well then of course you can also reply back and request a new appointment, but I would advise against it if at all possible, because you don't want to delay the process any more than it's already going to be. So I'm on my way to a ceremony, and it's not my ceremony, but I'm going to an Einbürgerungsfeier, which is basically for 1% of you guys who are getting your dual citizenship, you might be invited to the Rathaus or to the civil offices or to the town hall, as one would say in English. And here is where this celebration would take place. Typically you will meet the Bürgermeister, the mayor of the city. This is here in Düsseldorf, but I've heard that in other cities this could happen too, if you're that lucky someone. So I'm on my way to that today. We're not getting my citizenship. I'm gonna get that in a couple weeks, but I thought you might like to see exactly what could happen if you were invited to one of these events.
but I'll be a vagabond, driving down the road.
It's really amazing. We waited for this. We came here in Düsseldorf 2017 and it really feels nice because I personally gave a lot of effort to learn German, and it's really great feeling that it's recognized and such like honored in such a nice event. I'm really happy and I just want to say thank you.
I think in general it was a smooth process. From the first moment that we applied until the first telephone call, we waited more than 5 months. Then after we submitted the documents, we waited around 8 months. I'm really excited to travel freely because now we can travel without a visa to UK and to USA. These are the countries that I like to visit.
It just really feels nice. Thank you. Germany.
Hallo, daar mısın?
So, das war's. My Einbürgerung, where I get my doppelte Staatsbürgerschaft, is not going to be as fancy. We're going to celebrate over Kunstblumen und Knäckebrot. Aber ich freue mich trotzdem. This was one example of what could happen if you're lucky. Otherwise, let's go to my Einbürgerung. So what happens at this meeting then? They will actually go through all of the original documents again, make sure everything is there. You'll have to provide a few additional signatures, as will they. You'll pay your €255 fee, or in the case of having children applying with you, €51 for them. And then it's official. We are naturalized here in Germany. We are officially Germans. We can officially vote. There are so many amazing reasons why I am so excited to get my dual citizenship. There will be a ceremony. How grand or how not so grand it is will again depend on where you live. But your certificate will be handed over to you. And you're now a German citizen.
Ich erkläre feierlich, dass ich das Grundgesetz und die Gesetze der Bundesrepublik Deutschland achten und alles unterlassen werde, was ihr schaden könnte.
Danke. Frau Jenna Davis, geboren in Kanada, wohnhaft in Düsseldorf, hat mit dem Zeitpunkt der Aushändigung dieser Urkunde die deutsche Staatsangehörigkeit durch Einbürgerung erworben. Herzlichen Glückwunsch!